All right, everybody, welcome to this week's Corn Belt Umpires Zoom Lunch Clinic. My name is Jake Samp. I'm joined with Dan Atkins, Russ Lundquist, and Jason Vaith. And we're here to talk about collision rules. Sometimes you're going to hear collision rules referred to as malicious contact plays, but most rulebooks call them collision rules. So with that, if you have questions, feel free to either use the hand raise function, drop a question in the chat, or just feel free to unmute and ask your question. We would rather have you ask a question here and get an answer than have something like this happen on the field and not have the information to properly adjudicate the play. As always, if you have questions, comments, or ideas about future clinics, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. We always are looking for ideas, suggestions. If you have a topic that you'd like to present on, last week, Brad Haar led a fantastic presentation on ball status and base awards. And I believe next week, Jason Vaith is going to be doing catch, no catch responsibilities and fly ball coverage. I talked with Brad afterwards, and he said it was a fantastic way for him to better his understanding of the rule book. That's part of why we do these. And I've said this before, and I know Connor has as well. We are not the be-all, end-all for rules knowledge, and this is something that helps keep us sharp and whatnot. So we're going to talk about what collision rules are, who the rules protect, what is a legal slide, what are the differences between the collision rules, and then we have a couple videos to go through. So first off, the purpose of the collision rules is very, very simple. It is player safety. I think I'm looking through here at a lot of the people who are here, and I think all of us, myself included, can remember a day when you would see catchers get blown up at the plate. That is no longer the case. We know a lot more about concussions, player safety, and those types of things. And every level of baseball has implemented some form of a collision rule. So today we're going to talk about the two most prevalent collision rules in South Dakota baseball, which is the NFHS, the National Federation of High Schools collision rule, as well as the American Legion rule. And to put the collision rule together for the NFHS, we actually have to put a couple different rules together, as opposed to the American Legion rulebook, which just has one specific guiding rule. The rule references are right here. I know on the South Dakota Umpires Association website, sdumpires.org, they have a great document on the collision rules. I believe if you go to their website and then it's under documents, you can find all the collision rules. But first we want to talk about what is malicious contact. And Russ, Jason, John, or Sean, or Dan, feel free to jump in if you guys have anything else to add. But the American Legion defines malicious contact as contact that is intentional with excessive force. That's a lot of fun legal jargon to try to work through because we are not mind readers. But there are certain things that we can look for that would indicate intent. The high school rulebook says that contact is malicious if it is the result of intentional excessive force and or an intent to injure. Note that neither rule set has a specific definition for attempting to dislodge the ball. That's treated differently. So we'll jump into the NFHS rulebook first here. And under 221(1)B, it is offensive interference when the runner creates malicious contact, regardless of whether they have the ball and regardless of whether or not they're in the baseline. Additionally, under 3-3-1, it says you cannot initiate malicious contact on offense or defense. A defensive player can initiate malicious contact on defense. Note the penalty here. The ball is immediately dead if it's collision made by the offense. If it's and then on the offense, the player will be declared out and ejected unless the player has already scored. And if it's on the defense, the player is ejected and rule safe or out on the play, and then we award bases appropriately and conservatively, as we talked about last week. Again, another slide rule here for the NFHS. I'm not going to read off of the slide, but we're looking at an immediate dead ball, and the runner is declared out. Any questions so far on these NFHS rules, or what the definition of malicious contact is?
Hey, Jacob.
Yes.
One thing I want to throw out there,
Mhm.
we talk about we're not mind readers and intent.
Yep.
We want to err on the side of if they don't attempt to avoid contact, they are intentionally attempting to contact the defensive player. So that is our mind reading, is did they do any type of action to attempt to avoid, as in slow down, crouch, legally slide? If they don't do something to show us that, that gives us the mental aspect of they attempted to make malicious contact.
Thank you. I appreciate that additional information. One, looking at the must avoid contact, I mean, it's very obvious to see when they're trying to avoid contact. There's a couple videos that we have here towards the end where you will see the shoulder drop. I think on both videos. I know for sure on one of them, the shoulder does drop and before contact. And so that's another thing that we can look at. But yeah, I think I would agree that any failure to attempt to avoid contact is intentional. Runners out. And the reason that I made sure to include this slide here is the note in the rule book: malicious contact will always supersede the obstruction. And then we award bases conservatively in our judgment. And remember, we can absolutely get together on this, just to make sure everybody's on the same page and make sure we appropriately and conservatively place the runners. So let's talk about when a fielder can block a base. Okay. We'll start off with the high school rule. It's very simple. It's without possession of the ball. It is obstruction if the fielder denies access to the base runner, to the base that the runner is attempting to reach. Legion has a little bit different of a rule, but they still have the same principle that you can't block the base without the ball. And it's safe, and it's a delayed dead ball. If there is this is important in Legion, if there is flagrant contact and we have obstruction, it is the runner is safe, the ball is dead, and the runner is ejected. Now, I know we got a handful of NCAA umpires in here, and I just want to stick this little side note in here. In NCAA, the contact, or the runner must touch the base before the contact. And there's the rule reference there.
So Jake, just to clarify, Legion's the only rule set where if the catcher standing in the middle of the baseline, R3 blows him up on his way to the plate before he touches the plate. American Legion is the only rule set where that rule he would be considered safe and then ejected. Otherwise, everywhere else we're getting the out and the ejection. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Looking to the American Legion rule. I love when they put the intent of the rule in the rule itself. Avoid collisions. Not going to read off the slide here, but I've tried to highlight a couple different things. Avoidable, and avoidable being, they could have reached the base without colliding. Unavoidable, path was blocked. Were they actually attempting to reach the base or attempting to dislodge the ball from the fielder? This is where we start getting rules where we're judging intent to dislodge the baseball. So there's two different parts of the American Legion collision rule. One where we have of the avoidable versus unavoidable contact, and then we also have the attempting to reach the base and attempting to dislodge the ball. So in the first situation where we have the avoidable, unavoidable, and actually it is in either situation, the ball is dead and all runners shall return to the base that they had last touched at the time of the collision. A couple approved rulings from the American Legion rulebook. If the fielder blocks the path of the base runner and they make contact, slide into, or collide, as long as it's a legitimate attempt to reach the plate or base, we're fine. If the contact is flagrant, out and ejected. And flagrant, as we've kind of already discussed, is along the lines of malicious. And, as Sean said earlier, we're going to deem intent based on a lack of attempting to avoid the collision. Couple more rules. If the defensive player blocks the base, obstruction, safe, and it's a delayed dead ball. So that's going to be our type 2 obstruction. Again, here, if it's a flagrant collision, we're safe on the obstruction and we are ejected from the contest. We're going to kill the ball immediately. And as a reminder, for the NCAA guys, there is the difference in the timing of the contact. Collisions at home plate. Couple things to note here. Number one, a runner who is attempting to score may not deviate from the direct path to the plate in order to initiate contact with the catcher. So this occasionally gets confused with what the path is, and the path is it's the path or course that the runner chooses to take to the plate. It is not the baseline per se. It cannot initiate an avoidable collision. If, in our judgment, the runner attempting to score initiates contact in such manner, we can call the runner out, regardless of whether the player covering the plate retains possession of the ball. And again, we're going to call time. We are going to shut play down and conservatively award runners bases. And if we got to get together, remember, we certainly can. Legal slide is not a violation. And remember, generally a legal slide is defined as feet, a foot, hip, buttock on the ground, and the other foot not above the fielder's knee as they naturally stand. And then a head first slide is physically on the ground. All right, we're moved to the points of emphasis that the American Legion has 4 collision rules. Eject if, in your judgment, there is intentional and excessive force, or if there is intent to injure another player. And remember, the lack of attempting to avoid the collision is intent to injure. Now, I realize we went through these rules really fast because a lot of them are very similar and there are very few differences that we have. Does anybody have questions before we get to some of the videos? We have 2 videos to discuss. And nothing in the chat. All right, cool. So let's pause the screen share here. Or just stop it. And go to here. Perfect. Okay. So this is a play. We are runners on first and third with less than 2 outs. And we're going to have a interesting play here. I'm going to run it through once. Camera angle is not great. I have another angle of this where it's zoomed in more, but it's still this exact angle. But the pitcher is going to legally disengage the rubber. And we have a rundown here that ensues. So I'll stop it right here. We'll play it back one more time. There's a lot more to this play after the fact, but we're just going to talk about the collision here first. Hey, Connor.
Connor, you're late.
Well, you know, sometimes late is just good timing.
I'll run the zoomed in one here quick. Everybody can still see the, there we go, good. All right. So this is the play zoomed in more. And this one you should be able to see the right shoulder of R3. So we're just highlighting the contact here. So you will, if I get that to go away, there we go. So we'll go back to this widescreen view here. And I'm going to run it through one time, and I'm going to let Dan, Russ, Sean, Connor, Jason, I'm going to let you guys kind of take over here and start walking us through this.
One thing I like right here, before anything really developed at the plate area, Jake, you kept the point of the plate. And a lot of people have sort of happy feet. They want to wander. They want to go get something. This gives you a view of everything that's happening. You don't have a call yet. You don't have an area that's your primary. So you got a good 360 look at everything. Now you got a runner. You got R1 advancing to third. You can pick that up out of your vision if you're far enough back and have a clear window. So I like this. And then as the play's coming home, you start working and you're thinking about, there's 2 kinds of tags that you can have here. Kind of jump in and you know, help out if you want to. There's a swipe tag. There's a chance of a tag where he's sliding wide and you're going to have to go get the glove of the fielder, or what they used to call a collision tag. I don't like that. I call it a contact tag because a collision triggers the rules and it kind of gets us thinking about something else. But this is going to be 2 guys coming together, a contact tag. And what you did is you keyholed beautifully here. You walked up and said, I'm not sure where this runner is going to go. So he can track me. That can throw me off. But I'm staying with my defender. And you've got the catcher here. And you're looking directly back at what's going to be either a tag or some Tom Effery, and that's exactly what you got. The runner had options. He could have gone underneath this. He could have gone into the field of play. He's not restricted by a runner's lane. He's got all the options in the world, and he chose directly into the catcher. So this is old school. It's going to presumptively be a problem, but when he squares that shoulder up, like you saw, and the timing on this is just exquisite. It's really good. The only thing you might want to do is be a little bigger. And I know you're 6'9", but get the arms up and sort of say, now I've got a dead ball. Everything's finished. It sort of hints that, like right there. Now, see, you went shoulder high. I'd get up top. I'd draw the attention of the aliens that are over the top of the stadium, because what we have now is not only is the ball dead, but I'm going to have to effectuate something. Somebody's going to get ejected. And I love that the catcher sells. I think the catcher's dead. I think he's killed. He's absolutely, he's left his soul is gone. And he's trying to sell this, and he did a good job with that. But what you're doing is, and you got your eyes on the malefactor, you got it, and you got the ejection. It doesn't get any better than that. And then the thing that I like is you stay close in case the kid is in fact dead, but you got to weigh the right place. Now the coach that you're going to want to talk to is coming from a different angle, but the point is you cleared it while still having ears on. Russ, what do you think?
Here's our coach. Just this is the head coach that's coming out of the dugout to receive an explanation.
There you go. Okay, so he was on that side. That makes it even better. I'm 100% on board with this.
Yeah, I got no issues. I mean, I'm looking, even as these guys are kind of congregating around the dead catcher. Jake, you're even kind of outside the dirt circle, waiting for what you know is going to be a discussion. It's kind of it's really a good spot to be, and it's a good way to do what you did. I can't say anything else. I think it's a good spot.
Play it through.
The only thing I'm at up, can you back up just a couple seconds, Jake, to the ejection? So the only thing I might say is here, I might keep eyes on this a little longer. You turn and walk away, and we have a defender walking towards the runner who just blew up his catcher. And we have eyes on this interaction between this player, who also clearly there's conversation going on, because he walks away, he says something, turns around and walks away, and turns back around. And that's the only thing I might add, is that keep like eject and walk away in situations where we have a blow up and we have a lot of verbal, like when we're one-on-one, right? But we have to keep eyes on this to make sure it doesn't turn into something more than what it is. Because this is a situation where if my catcher gets leveled as a player, I'm going to take offense to that. And I'm probably going to at least say something, if not do something. And I think in the state of baseball that we have right now, with the one-upmanship and the I need to show that I'm tougher than you are mentality, that these situations can easily blow up into something more than what it is.
I'm stunned. That's actually a really good comment from Connor. Just kidding, Connor. That's a good point. Like I said, Jake, you're thinking, you got so many thoughts going through your head, but Connor's right. If you can back up and have the same theory that you had with point of plate and get everything, and you do have it, you walked into it, make sure, and now you got your coach there. Everything's kind of working together. And then this is the thing that you would want to send to Bruns. Look how quickly you went to the COVID mechanic that we're still using. Get out of my circle. It's brilliant. Angel Campos just had a fantastic ejection because the coach wouldn't do it, and you took him, and you didn't give him a choice. You took him with you. That was great. Now, I don't know your partners on this, but here's what Russ Lundquist would have done if that's me on the plate. Your U3, where you see where he is now, he'd have been there as I was indicating the ball is dead, because he'd have known it was coming. You need to be this close if you're a base umpire, and if you've got three of you, you can literally signal back to U1 and say, stay out there. You're gonna manage the field, or you're gonna go get that first base dugout. Communication at this point, what I call the Garrett Moselle rule, is utterly vital. It's you can overtalk this thing, you can make sure you got everything covered, but one of you's got to be close enough. One of the partners has got to be close enough to help out with sorting out who might be misbehaving, to make sure the ejected player is aware that he's got to go, get him going, and keep eyes on this stuff. And most importantly, unless we've got microphones, get some ears on the conversation that Jake is in right now. So if this was my field, what I'd want to see is U3 probably closer to the mound, underneath it, and paying attention to both dugouts. And U1 is going to be my assistant, if you will. Get even a little closer. Walking is overrated in this context. I'd be running here. I'd jog in to get to my spot, and I'd make people see me because I can help and I can calm. Now we got the umpire that's actually in there cleaning things up. He's too close to an injured player. Be careful. You've always got to think about liability, and that's my gig. But you don't need to be in there. You ain't no EMT. Even if you are, you're not today. So where he's at, I don't know. Guys are just kind of wandering here. That's not what I want to see. I want to see a little more assertiveness from the base umpires.
So, and I'm gonna pose this question to Sean specifically if he's available to answer this. So, Sean, Dan,
Yep,
okay, Dan, Russ, Connor, and I, we were having a conversation. I guess Faith was in on this too. And I sent an email to Randy, and I haven't gotten a response back yet. But one of the things that we were discussing, and I realized that stuff, by the time I'm talking to the offending team's coach, things have relatively calmed down, but it's still a potentially tense situation. Is this a situation where it would be advisable to take the offending head coach and take him up to the 45 and have U1 come down to where I'm standing at right now? Or should we stay at the dirt circle? That was just a conversation that we were having after everything had kind of settled with this a couple days later when we were just kind of going through the video and talking about it.
Yeah, so first off, I'll give you by rule. So since this play was at home plate, the coach is allowed to go near the dirt circle, not enter it, but go near the dirt circle. So he's actually going where he's allowed to go. Now, can you walk this coach to that 45-foot line? Absolutely. I wouldn't demand the coach or tell the coach to go there, but to take him away from the situation at home plate, you could do what we call the rodeo clown, because wherever you go, he's going to follow you. So would that benefit you to make sure he's farther away from the injured player and a potential head coach coming out? Yes. But it's not something I would say, Coach, you got to go there. I'll meet you there. I would just walk him there away from the scene. The other thing, and it doesn't come up on this video, and I don't think it comes up in this situation, but this is the field situation we're talking about where we have to be aware as U1 and U3 of what's going on in the dugouts and making sure players aren't coming out of the dugouts. And if they do, we have to immediately give them direction to go back into the dugouts to avoid ejection. So it doesn't look like people are leaving the dugouts here, but this is where you want to be aware as U1 and U3. As you're coming down, yeah, you're aware of the players surrounding the injured player, but you have to be aware of the dugouts and making sure those players are reminded they have to return or remain in the dugouts.
Also, by rule, we've got defensive players that have left their position, possibly an altercation. They've left their position in the situation of a potential altercation. Might be wise to get them out of there and get them back where they belong.
Anything else, Jason, Connor? Because I got one more thing I want to talk about on this, just because this is a 3-umpire crew. Wasn't sure if Jason or Connor had anything else to add here.
Nope, I think they've touched it all on it very well.
Hey, Jake, don't run it back. Did he touch the plate, the runner?
I don't think he did.
Oh my God, how do you not know? I'm just kidding. It's like watching a train wreck, and there's so much to take in. You run your checklist, and that you hear over and over again that umpiring is a function of timing. As you're obviously you got a lot happening up there, but still try to get your eyes down. And then the other thing I would use is my ears. Did I hear that plate pound? Turf sounds a hell of a lot different from the hard plastic or whatever material that thing is made of. There's so much going on. But if for some reason you guys get together and decide this is not malicious, you're going to have to determine whether you touch the plate or not. It's a good idea to get all eyes on it. And that's the sort of thing that the base umpires need to be watching. It's not obvious that would be something you need to pick up, But when there's a potential collision, get your eyes on the back of the play. There's so much to see.
Hey, Dan,
Yeah.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here because some guys on this don't know. But we have contact where we have contact. We determine it's not malicious. He touches the plate, catcher loses possession of the ball. Can we still have an out on this because of where the contact occurred?
You could determine that it's not malicious, but the contact resulted in the separation. Sure, you could.
We don't
Sure.
really have a slide, so there's the whole contact above the knee,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Is that caveat fulfilled within this contact?
Oh, here's
in your
let me
opinion?
let me answer. I like it. Let me answer with a quick story. I get a guy that's sliding home and realizes that he's just dead to rights. So instead of leaving his foot on the ground to go for the plate, he lifts it up and kicks the catcher directly in the chest. And he blasted him. And the ball came out, the mask went flying. We had what we had. And my partner came in and just the same question you're asking, he says, is there a way we could have had an out there without an ejection? And I looked at him, my eyes lit up, and I said, oh yeah, I could have had an illegal slide. So there is still in the college book an opportunity to say you didn't break, you didn't commit an evil act here, but you still did something that results in an out. You committed an interference, qualified as an interference, therefore you're out. So yeah, we could, but that's again base umpire. That's Connor as my U1 is going to want to come in and say, Danny, don't forget, that you've got more tools in the box if you just don't like malicious contact. It's a great question. How'd you think? Sorry.
I guess the one thing that I can add here too, from what I saw here, is we have our rundown. So from the plate umpire standpoint, I'm watching the disengage, and I actually had somebody ask me, he's like, "Do you think you could have gotten the pitcher for a block here?" No, I don't. I thought he disengaged rubber legally. Here I'm coming in to get the keyhole. I see the shoulder drop, and I see right shoulder contact. I don't know if everybody can see my video, but the right shoulder got him dead square in the chest. And so immediately I judge this to be malicious contact. So called time, ejected the player, and the coach here, the conversation between myself and the coach here at this point is, what is my guy supposed to do? I said he needs to slide, he needs to avoid maliciously contacting runner, he needs to attempt to go around him legally. But he can't drop his shoulder into the catcher, which is what happened here. And so coach got the explanation. Obviously he wasn't thrilled because he's down a guy now. And he's lost the guy for game 2 of the series. But at the end of the day, it's a player safety rule. And just trying to control this situation. I mean, this is the first time in probably 6 or 7 years that I've had a collision rule situation where we have had malicious contact. And so just being able to explain everything, it's and Dan's right, keep know your checklists, keep track of your checklist, and then work through your checklists.
Jake, you never have to say Dan is right. It's completely redundant. One other thing to think about here, and we did talk about it, the pitcher after he delivers to F5, he sort of threatens an obstruction. You got to be able to determine whether did he delay, did he leave his body after he gets rid of the ball. He's going to run right in front of the path. He's going to finish running. And if your runner is savvy and looks up and makes contact there, you're going to have something, one way or the other. It might be interference, might be obstruction. You got to officiate that from both ends. And I do like where U3 decided to take this. He's got it framed because he knows his partner's out in foul. So he didn't run wide on it. He got in a position where he's going to see the inside activity as best he can. He might even want to go a little bit behind it. But once he evacuates third, underneath here is good. I'm not picking boogers on him, hopefully, but there was a chance at a problem with what F1 is doing across the line.
The last thing I want to talk about on this play here is how we would handle this in the 2 umpire system, because we are super fortunate at this level to have 3 umpires out here. And so boxing plays in is a lot easier the more umpires you have. So in a first and third situation, our base umpire is going to be about right. That's way high. I wish that was calibrated a little bit better. Our base umpire is going to be about there. Little off. My telestrating skills have definitely suffered if you've seen the last couple videos because we haven't had to use it. So the base umpire is going to be starting there in B position. So once we have the play, then let me do this here. Oh, okay. So the play starts, and the R1 slides in to second base safely. And by the time he disengages, the pitcher realizes there is nobody there. So base umpire in this situation, in a 2-umpire system, is going to stay put. And then once we start to have this play here, they're going to start trying to drift this way a little bit more and getting an angle. This is a situation where we really got to work our angles here because we have 2 umpires. And so being able to now box this play in a 2-umpire system, and the base umpire is here because we're doing a 3-umpire system here, and our U1 is coming in case we have anything on this runner here back at second base. So they can box that play in, and then the plate umpire is going to stay home. So ideally, your base umpire is going to end up right about here, because if anything weird happens back here, the base umpire is on their own on this situation because we still have this lead runner here.
Jake, I'm glad you brought that up because one of the things that I learned from Russ years ago in a 3-umpire situation is when you are in a first and third situation and you're in A, you're umpire 1, when that runner breaks, go with him. You stay in the back area. You're not going to have the primary call ever, but you're going to be in position if there is a play back in a second, if there's an overthrow, if there's something that kicks around, then you're going to get to help. Because what the hell are you going to do at first base? We don't have a batted ball. We can't have a batted ball. So on pass balls, on steals, go with it. Get in the outside area, and then you can fill in behind. But what you could have had here is you could have released umpire 3 even earlier so that he doesn't have to run, essentially in the baseline. He could have run to the 45 if that's what he wanted. He could have positioned himself a lot quicker if U1 is into the field. It's part of the balls in the other area, slash. Get your ass moving. Get your butt, excuse me, that's recorded. Get your backside moving and go help if you can. And you do it from behind the baseline, and then you come across when there's no danger and start umpire.
Russ, did you have something you want to add?
Yeah, the communication has to be it has to be loud, forceful, and unmistakable. You've got, as U1, you've got to tell your U3, hey, Jake, I've got second base. Leave it unmistakable about where you are and what you're doing, and then be quiet. Let everyone else process what's happening. You're just kind of cleaning the backside to say, the backside of that base, and then all eyes have to be on where the baseball is and what's happening.
And in this rundown situation, just like most rundown situations, if you have a rundown of a following or trail runner, plate umpire has to stay with the lead runner because they could touch home, and that's where the plate umpire has to stay. Rundowns in the 2-umpire system, they're tricky. I think we might try to do if we can get some good videos, I think we might try to do a clinic just mechanically how to handle a rundown situation. Connor, you got something?
Yeah, I think as the base umpire and 2-umpire system, I'm going to be closer to third than what you're having drawn right now.
So you're thinking somewhere kind of closer to here?
Yeah. Because really, if our play is going to be going to second base, I can get 2 steps towards the mound and get a great angle at that play. But the focus on this play the entire time is on R3. And I want to be in the best position I can for that play. And I have time should attention divert to R1/R2 now. I have time to get into a better position for that rundown situation if I need to be. And I think if you just kind of feel it out and face the baseball and be ready to move and be in a position where you can take 2 steps to be in position for a play at second base, you're going to be fine.
He's even more right because more often than not, R1 is going to try to advance to third while this play is happening. So he's going to come with you anyway.
Which in this case, if we let this thing play out, hello, there's R1 right there. Anything else on this play specifically?
Yeah, Jake, this is Brad.
Yeah, what's up?
Was there any conversation at all about the catcher being square in the baseline, waiting to receive the ball?
Yeah, that it crossed my mind. He's got. Let me stop when he's got. Okay, that's too far forward. When the catcher receives the ball, is right there. So
Okay,
you can.
okay.
I mean,
He was far enough.
Yeah, in my judgment, he was far enough. And this is a rundown. This is not a traditional blocking play at the plate swipe tag. It's a different kind of play. And one of the discussions that we had post game, and that I've had with a couple other people is that has to be a factor too in this situation. But that's a fantastic point, and I think that if the runner was even further away, the call gets even easier. If he was another step or two closer, then we have an issue here, and then we got to look at applying the proper obstruction rules in conjunction with the collision rules.
Right, and what I seem to have seen in the last 10 days of watching games is that if the catcher has the ball and there's at least one step before the runner gets to him, they're giving credit to the defense. Not, as long as he's on those review plays that I've watched, it seemed to be about I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but if the runner's at least one step away, they're always going to give the benefit to the defense.
Gotcha. All right, I'm going to move on to the next video here that we have. And so this is from last year. I think this is a site change. So this is actually the bottom of the 7th inning. We got a runner on, I believe, just second base. Ground ball to center field. And we have this happen at the plate, and we score the run. Play it one more time. Okay. Couple things to start off with mechanically before we get into the rules. So we are in the 2-umpire system. The first thing that I would say is get umpire in frame here. Okay, so we're setting up here for a swipe tag. I think we're we're at the edge of the dirt circle here. Russ, you want to pick up here? I saw you just unmuted.
Let's note how the catcher is doing an excellent job of leaving the base runner a path to home plate or to the base he's advancing to. In this case, obviously it's home plate. Catcher's doing everything right here. Roll it. This is a touch. Now the baseball, he moves in position to catch the baseball, drops to his knee. The baseball's instantly from his glove. Yet he has still done a very nice job. This is textbook catcher play of leaving the runner a path to home plate. This is how we would teach it by the rule book. A couple more frames, if you don't mind. And we didn't see there. Does anybody have, so I guess, what are the three things that the runner is allowed to do on a play at a base like this? He's allowed to legally slide, right?
Don't answer us. Let one of the younger guys. He just put that perfectly, fellas. What are the three things in your head that this runner can do as he advances toward a likely received baseball? There's an outplay coming. What can he do?
The catcher's obviously in the act of fielding this baseball.
Yep.
So what are the three things a runner can do? Come on, class.
Slide.
You guys,
I got slide, go around, or give up.
Slide
does he
legally.
have to go, does he have to go around?
We'll avoid contact, I guess.
So there can never be contact. He has to avoid contact. I'm trying to get you to think more. What does the rule book say? And use the rule book phrases when you discuss this with that coach.
Mm-hmm.
He must attempt to avoid contact if possible.
Okay.
Now,
if he chooses to
not
slide,
a legal
are there limits on the slide? Are there things he's got to do with the slide?
A legal slide.
Yep. I appreciate you jumping in, Mike. Good hustle.
Yeah. What's the definition of that legal slide?
Leg, buttocks, hip on the ground, foot not above the catcher's knee.
Yep. Bingo. Good job.
A+.
Good job. So clearly in this still shot here, we got all kinds of none of those three things, right?
Yeah.
We got all of none of them.
Yes. To use that double negative, right? We don't have a legal slide because we don't. I mean, that's just for the catcher, it's painfully obvious. Now, could we get the attempting to avoid contact if possible? I don't see that because we've got contact above the waist of the fielder, and we don't have a legal slide. So I don't see that as a real situation.
And he's not trying to go over the top of him.
Yeah, he's also right. He's also not giving himself up. So what's the outcome of this play? What did our plate umpire do, and is that right, wrong, or indifferent?
I'll just play it through.
This is clearly like a game winning situation.
Yes,
Okay.
It is. Yep, game ending situation of a scheduled 7.
Got it. 0-2-1-0. Nice 2-strike hit. Boy. Runner has legally touched home plate.
We're going to walk over the dead body.
Yeah. Trip over his feet.
Yeah. I mean, the catcher dropped the ball, so he called him safe, it looks like, but that's I do not agree with that, I guess. I think he should be out for it into him.
Yeah, I mean, the question becomes, I mean, okay, your judgment he's safe. That's fine. Okay, you can describe in your judgment, but do the rules support your judgment? This isn't obviously just a swipe tag, did he tag him or not? This is actually an application of a rule, and I'm not so sure this is going to turn out to be a great ending situation for the folks here.
Well, he started lowering his shoulder about 2 steps before the contact, but doesn't the catcher initiate the contact and technically? Or
Because the catcher
he's got the ball.
he has the baseball. He has in his act of fielding the ball, he has left a lane for the runner to obtain the base. Once he gets the ball, turns to apply a legal tag, and is met with a situation he's attempting to avoid. The catcher is attempting to not be a part of this, but he's met with what he didn't want. The catcher has done absolutely everything right by rule here.
There is no basis for obstruction. None. Nothing that you'd look for to have a problem. So, Brad, I understand what you're saying. It looks like he's initiating contact. That's baseball. I mean, he's got to go find contact with a glove to shirt or leg. So it's not crazy to think about it that way. But you got to remember, he's doing his job. Right. One thing that I just sort of you can get in a lot of trouble pulling bats out of the way, but this shows why it's such a problem. One of the reasons this runner might not have laid down a legal slide is because he would have lit his leg up. It's just, that's bad luck. That's just baseball. But know everything about what you can, take in this information. Where this umpire takes this play, he's so far back, he's got the advantage of seeing it all, but he's really going to be kind of late to the party. He's got 18 feet there. I think I might be on the base. Yeah, Connor just put a spot, but I think in this play, because you've got a quote unquote contact tag, you can get up into you can get in the working area plus, you can be in fair territory. It's a game ending play. And, we're not too worried about R1. He's not going to be coming home. So I can get up there and I can go take a look at this first thing I don't want to do is I don't want to get run over by the runner. But the second thing I want is I want that keyhole. I want to get up as close as I can to see where this tag is, because there's going to be a question about whether this ball gets held onto. But once this guy decides that he's Larry Zonka, we got a problem. It's a dead ball. Get your ass out of my yard. Excuse me, get your body out of my yard. Jake, someday I'll figure it out. This umpire isn't ready for malicious contact. We got to be better than this.
I think on this play, where I circled is probably where I start to receive this play.
Yep.
Yeah.
Once the catcher moves up, I'm moving up with him.
Yep.
Because that swipe tag, if he slides legally, I want to be looking this direction.
Hey Connor, I'm gonna back this up just to kind of show where, like, from a timing as far as your setup.
So
I'll stop it right here.
Okay.
And it looks
so
like
right now I'm probably still going to be here point of plate. Because that baseball is right here, I think. Yeah. And then I'm going to work this way from point of plate. I might be a little bit further back, but I'm going to work into the box. And when the catcher, can you slow play it forward a little bit?
Sure.
I'm going to erase one of these. Pause it right there. I'm going to erase one of these because it's about to be something I don't want it to look like on a recording. I'm going to work
forethought,
and then splash.
I'm going to work up here. I'm going to follow this guy. So play forward a little bit further because he's receiving that ball at the edge of the dirt circle, right? If I'm back here, I don't have a look. That tag is going to happen right here. And I want to be looking down here because from here, there's no play that I'm going to be in the way of. There's not going to be a secondary play on this because if this run scores, he's going to swipe tag and he's going to look up. If he's got him out, he's going to look to throw to second. And I can get out of the way of that. But that tag is here. He's going to turn and throw. This is his throwing lane to second base. If I'm standing here, I'm golden. I can still see the runner touch the plate if he misses. And I can follow that play all the way through. But I'm going to start point of plate, work around into the left-handed batter's box, and probably come up a little bit closer because I want to follow that catcher up the line a little bit and be in position to look as an extension of that glove the best I can and still umpire the plate. And if we move and keep our head still, we can get a great look at this play, be set or be moving, and watch that play to its conclusion and then make a decision on it. And at the point where he lowers his shoulder, I'm probably going to stop and get the hell out of the way. If I can. Because you know it's coming next. Right now, you know he's not trying to attempt a legal slide.
Nope. He sacrificed that. He can only give himself up or lead the baseline. Nothing here is going to be good for the offense. And one of the things I love of what Connor said, where this X is right now, if that's where he's at, when this thing turns into a dead ball, we've got malicious contact. There's something to be said. I learned from a guy named Tom Deeg. The closer you are to your call, the more people are A, impressed by it, or B, intimidated by it. You can absolutely dominate and shut down any objection by being right over top of it. And I can see Connor with his hands above his head, with his mask in his hand, screaming, time. That's malicious, that's malicious contact. And then he comes over the top and just crow hops his clown. And it will just shut down any objection from the offense because he's right on top of it. How would anybody see it better than him? And it matters. It's a huge piece of your communication, of your credibility before the fact to get in the right spot. And I love what he said. If you take what Connor said here, he started on the point. He's probably taken a step and a half, maybe two, where our umpire here is taking something like 7. And all he's done is got himself out of it. You don't have to go so far as the play develops, and then you'll have less to do as you get to your chosen spot. But if I'm counting correctly, from Connor's feet where he started to where he ended up, that might be 2 full steps. You can do that. I mean, you got that all day. And if you're Russ, it's 1 step because he's a freaking pterodactyl. But, by being in position initially at a good spot, you will save yourself headache and you will give yourself a lot more options. And like Connor said, if it starts moving your way, you back up. You lose nothing there because that's going to be after a tag attempt or a lost baseball anyway. No harm in moving then. You're still going to get set before what will be the final action or the plating of a run that ends the game. Who cares? But minimizing your window at the start gets you to a better finish, I would argue.
I'm going to chime in one more time here, and I mean that's a relative term, but it is 1 o'clock. If anybody does have to leave, feel free to leave. Obviously, we recorded this and we're going to put this up. But Connor made a really great point here about how to use the train tracks and kind of the wedge that we've talked about a handful of times here. And I'm going to clear these out here quick, and I'm actually going to share a different video here quick, just because this video is going to show what Connor was talking about when he was saying we're going to swing around to the top of the plate. And this is our wonderful friend Russ. Look at that form kicking the bat out of the way. So
Don't do
that. So Russ starts here right in the keyhole. Okay. And I brought this up just to show what Connor was talking about when he said we're going to get out in front of the plate. Now this is 2 outs. Okay. So it's similar because we got, game ending. I mean, this is, if we got an out here, we're ending this inning. But we also have a runner on third, and we still got the batter runner too. So he comes through and he finds the ball, and he's right out there. And it's very easy for him to either continue moving. Try to annotate. It's very easy for him to, if as Connor was saying, we're up here a little bit, and the catcher's in relatively similar position as what we had before. And he's in a spot where he can, I'm gonna back this up just because right here, Russ is in a very mobile position here, and he can either, if he's got to get out of a throwing lane, he can come this way straight back. He can keep going this way, or even he can back up out of the throwing lane. And so he's in a great spot here. And this is what Connor was talking about when he said working out in front of home plate to take that play.
On that point, one of the other things that I love about Russ, where Russ just advanced here is exactly what Connor talked about. This is going to be a legal slide. Russ is reading this saying, I'm not going to have an explosion here. It's be highly unlikely. So he's got to honor that there's a slide coming. So he can't get into the plate. He can't go where Connor was drawing, because you don't want to take that runner simply can't touch your body. He can't touch your shoes, your shin guards. You don't want that. So what he did is he honored that, but he still ended up with no more than 3 feet from him to where the play that matters. And he dominated this. Nobody said anything except the runner was like, "Where to touch me?" on your face. I mean, but like you said, Russ has got mobile options. He's got places to go, but he honored the fact that the slide was going to be big and wide and probably a hook. And there's your money shot.
You knew I was going to pull that one, Russ. I was going to go find the picture.
Yeah, that's all good, man. That's all good. We're happy to we're happy to teach whenever we can, even if it's teaching myself what not to do. So
absolutely,
it's all good. I am one of those fellas that has to bolt at 1 o'clock. So unfortunately, I'm going to say good afternoon, fellas. Have a great day.
Thanks, Russ.
Peace, boys.
With that, I don't have anything else. Next week, is he still here? Faith? Nope, he left. Next week, we're doing catch, no catch, and fly ball responsibilities with Mr. Jason Vaith. So I will, as always, shut the recording down. And if you got questions, comments, or anything like that, feel free to stick around. Other than that, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.